All right. Hey everybody, back again, and today we are gonna check out a sleeping bag. It's a ultralight down sleeping bag made by a company called Aegis Max. Check it out right there. Check this out. And that's it, all that in that tiny little stuffed sack. You get all this. All right, let's get it back in the bag and go check it out at the bench. You ready? Oh man, that didn't go the way I wanted it to. Whew, it's hot in here. All right, so we are looking at this ultralight Goose down sleeping bag. Just a quick overview of the stats. So I've been writing stuff down because this is way too much for me to remember. So Aegis Max claims this to be a 3-season sleeping bag. The comfort levels are from 52 degrees Fahrenheit. That's the recommended climate. The low would be 43 and the extreme will be 15 degrees. We'll talk about how realistic that is later. It weighs 528 grams. It's made out of 20 denier nylon. So you can pick these up right now for around 85 bucks, which is pretty cheap for an ultralight Goose down sleeping bag. And you can, one of the things that one of the big attractions to this is just how tiny it is, right? So you can see it's not even compressed right now. And it's about the size of a good sized water bottle, and it's super light. Like that's not very much. You could easily carry this on the bottom of a backpack, just strapped on there, or however, you know, packed in a bag. But it compressed down, it's even smaller, right? But that's a huge draw, but with petite size comes lack of warmth, right? So the smaller, by being smaller and lighter, you are also losing some heat. So we'll talk about how that affects the performance of this sleeping bag. All right, so yeah, that's about all I got for this right now. Why don't we, we'll head to the bench and we'll pull this sucker apart and see if it's worth the money. All right, wait for it, wait for it. So, fun anecdotal side note, this is the most technical difficulty I've ever had recording a review by far ever. It's been like all the issues throughout every review I've ever done, all wrapped up in one, like focus being off, losing footage. When I threw this, that was 2 days ago, and I've had to reshoot this several times. So this sleeping bag has been up in orbit, zipping around the planet for like 48 hours. So what sets this apart? There's tons of options for warmth and size. I would say those are the two big things, right? With a sleeping bag, the two big characteristics. This sleeping bag is very petite, right? It's small. Compressed down, it's even smaller. If you compare it to, like, this is your average kind of generic, you know, $30 to $40 cotton, or I think it might be nylon. Look at that size difference, right? And weight difference. The weight difference is huge. Performance is a little different too. This is gonna keep you warmer, but it is way, way bigger. This is Goose down. Goose down compared to nylon. Goose down does something very special. Here, let me lay these down so you can see. Look at that, that's a huge difference between these two. If you put this in your backpack, this is all that's going in your backpack pretty much, right? Like this is your whole backpack unless you strap it to the bottom of your bag. That's a lot to carry around. Whereas this is much smaller. Like this is very doable across the bottom of a backpack. This is not much to carry on your suspension straps, right? Like that's pretty doable. And it even, if you use the compression straps, it gets even smaller. It's about half that size, but starts to get puffier to the side. So that's like 35 bucks for that big, huge one. This is 85, but part of it, you're paying for that Goose down. The awesome thing about Goose down is that it does something called lofting, where the Goose down, when you press it down, it compacts very small, and as it expands, you get little pockets where warm air will be trapped, right? So it insulates very well. It can smash down, it's very light, and that's what you're paying for, right? Goose down's always gonna be more expensive than like artificial nylon. This is also a Goose down bag made by a Slumberjack, but you can see, you know, once again, this is a more expensive bag and it will keep you warmer. So I say you could take this down to around 30 degrees if you had all your clothes on, like a jacket and jeans and a shirt, and you wouldn't be super happy, but you could use this. With this one, I would say they recommend this. So they say their comfort level is 52, lower limit is 43, and extreme would be 15. I wouldn't take this out in 15-degree weather. I would say this would be good from the months of like March to September, so through the warmer of the colder months, and then the warm months you're fine. So yeah, so super cold temperatures, this wouldn't be so great, but if you have one of these, right? If you have one of these, it's a solar blanket. It's just basically a giant sheet of Mylar. It's the same stuff they make like bags for potato chips and like balloons, you know, like party balloons that are metallic looking. It contains about 90% of the heat your body lets out, right? So as your body is letting out heat, if you were just to lay on the ground, if you were just laying on the ground, that heat is dissipating off your body and you're losing body heat and you'll get colder and colder, right? This contains 90% of that body heat. It retains it, right? So it's gonna keep it. You can use that in conjunction with this and get way closer to performance levels to something like this, right? So you don't have to carry around this much weight, but with a little bit of forethought, this and this can perform close to that, I would say, and with one extra step. So if you have a jacket and maybe like a cover shirt like this, a t-shirt, jeans, you know, your socks, hat, you can layer. So as you're hiking around, you know, wear your shorts and your t-shirt, but at night when the temperature drops drastically, if you use this with this, my personal opinion, the best way to do this, I've done this hammock camping a couple times, is you take this, you sleep in this, and then put this out around you. This one's the generic, just kind of like square kind, but they do make ones that are like thermal welded across the sides, like they're a pocket. So you just take this and slide inside of that, and you could probably get another like 10 to 20 degrees of comfort level, depending on where you're at and how cold it is, using this bag, right? So these two combined together are great. Not only that, but it's always great to have one of these on you. God help you if you take it out of this envelope, because they never fold. I don't know if they have like origami space blanket ninjas at the factory. I don't know how they get them this small again. I've a couple times, like just as a personal project, I've tried refolding these along the crease lines, and you can never get it this small again. I wish someone would sell one that just like self-folded itself back up. But these are great to have because I keep one in my car, in my backpack, in my laptop bag. If you have like a situation, not just for you for comfort when you're sleeping, but like let's say you live in a cold area where there's ice and snow. If you have an individual that gets hypothermia, or if they get exposed to extreme conditions, if you have a person that is just not doing well health-wise in general and their body temperature is dropping, this is a great thing to have on you anyway. So as long as you have it, then you can extend the capabilities of this, right? You could probably get down to, I would say, I wouldn't want to do it, but you could probably use this in 30 to 40 degree weather if you wear a pair of jeans, right? Like if you have jeans on, t-shirt, sweater, and a jacket if you have both, if not just like a jacket. If you have several layers of clothing on, that's going to build up heat between those layers, plus the sleeping bag, plus the solar blanket. You could probably get away with this in pretty cold weather, like 30 to 40. You're not gonna be having a great time. It's not gonna be the best sleep you ever had, but you're not gonna be freezing your butt off. I've been there before where it's been so cold that I couldn't sleep. Like I've been so cold that like your body just won't let you fall asleep no matter how tired you are. And having that little boost in climate, a 10 degree swing makes a huge difference when you're trying to fall asleep and it's super cold. Yeah, so let's go over this guy a little bit. What this is great for is, like I was mentioning, like you have layers, right? You have layers of stuff. You have your shirt, you have your jacket, you have a sweater. The stuff sack on this is pretty much your generic stuff sack. There's nothing super crazy going on here. It has the straps that'll let you, I can't think of, what are those called? It starts with a C. I don't know, boa constrictor straps, I want to say. And I know it's not. Compression straps. It has compression straps. It's made out of a really nice, like they said it's 20D nylon. It's kind of like that, like real shiny nylon, but it's very thin, but very strong. And you can use the compression straps to get this down to about the size of like a softball. And then on the bag itself, one thing that struck me about this is how wide the shoulders are on here. I get super claustrophobic in mummy bags that don't give you any arm room. Like some of them, literally you have to like move your hand up your body to get it out the opening and then back down again. That freaks me out. I can't handle those. It freaks me out a lot. The shoulders on this thing are huge. Like they're ridiculously large. They're almost like too big, but it's not bad, but they're large. It has a pretty petite hood on the top, the hood on it. It'll cover your head. You can get an inflatable pillow behind your head with this pretty easily. Like I've slept with an inflatable pillow, like a camp hike pillow behind my head, or you can use like a balled up jacket if you don't need to have the jacket on. It has a little cinch string on it. So the cinch string is just basically, there's a keeper that keeps it from moving around, which is just sewn on. It's not going anywhere. And then you have this kind of stretchy cord. As you pull it, it's going to constrict that face opening. So if you want to get it right down around your face so you're conserving all that heat, or if you want to, vent a little bit of heat too, you can do that. Open it back up. One thing I really like That was weird. One thing I really like is this thing right here. It's a little thing that makes a huge difference. Like some sleeping bags don't have these and it makes a difference. So there's a piece of Velcro in here. One, it keeps the tab from flopping around, which isn't the biggest thing in the world. But what you can do is when you close that, if you pull the zipper down, if you're like me and you like to sleep with like an arm or a leg out when it starts getting hot, you can bring the zipper. It doesn't go all the way down, it goes to about here, which I think is fine. It's almost a nuisance to have a zipper that goes all the way down, because then sometimes when you're trying to zip it up, you gotta go all the way down past your body to get it to pull it back up. But what's nice is it stays cinched at the top, right? It stays connected, and you can put an arm out, but it'll keep the sleeping bag across your body. So it'll keep it across you, and then that way you can have an arm or a leg out to, you know, vent some heat. I always call them heat snorkels, because if you don't have that, it'll flop off of you and you wake up freezing. So I like that a lot. The zipper on here is the teeth are plastic, which is nice. There isn't a protective kind of flap between you and the zipper on here. And on a metal zipper, if it's really cold outside, you could be warm in here, but when that zipper presses against your side, it's freezing. The teeth are really fine, so you're not gonna get a whole lot of air coming through the teeth. You can see, watch how airtight this thing is. You get some air in here. Like all the issues. Like, so your body heat, it's gonna stay in there. Like this thing is, you can almost use this as a flotation device. I mean, it's seeping with pressure, but if you're just sleeping in normal conditions, you're not gonna be putting that much pressure against the atmosphere that's in the sleeping bag, so you're not gonna be venting that air out. So that warm air that's around your body is gonna stay in here with you, which is great. Just putting this thing on right now, it's like, I don't know how warm it is right now. Let me go find out. It's 73 degrees right now in my house, and when I put this on just to do some like B-roll shots, I was putting this on, I got super hot. Like it got really warm in here. It gets warm incredibly fast inside this thing, which is good. That's what you want, right? I mean, you don't use a sleeping bag to not be warm. You want it to keep you warm. It lofts okay. I would easily compare this to a very puffy down jacket, right? So don't think about it as like a sleeping bag like one of these guys. Like these cotton ones, you got that big heavy layer of cotton over you. This one, I would compare it to a really heavy down jacket that covers your whole body from the top of your head to your feet and keeps all the warm air around you, right? So it's better than a jacket. Like a jacket can only do so much, but you're gonna lose air out the sleeves, out the neck, and out the bottom of the jacket. Whereas with this, it's gonna keep it around your body and keep you warm. Word of warning, if you do buy one of these, to repack it, go from the feet first, because like I was showing you, it's super airtight, and you'll end up with this huge balloon of sleeping bag that you have to fight to get back into the stuff sack. But I'll show you what I think one of the main benefits of this sleeping bag is. Whew. Man, that's a workout. If you get too cold, just put it in and out of the compression sack over and over again, and you'll up your body temperature by like 10 degrees. You know, all packed down, back in the bag. It's about this big, right? I like to do a lot of like super minimalist hiking and camping. And one of the things that I like to do a lot is Hammock Camp, right? This is a hammock that's an ultralight hammock made by a company called Sea to Summit. And when it's compressed, it's about that big, right? So let's say it gets down to around that big. It's pretty tiny and it's super light, right? So that's your hammock. These are your suspension straps and your hanging straps. So these are what you use to connect it to a tree. So this is this big right now. And compressed, it's getting closer to this. That's the whole thing. That's your down sleeping bag right there. There's your hammock, right? And there's your straps. If you're going into an area that has a lot of bugs, bring a bug net, and if it's gonna be raining, a rain fly. But for summer hiking and camping, this is it. Like this is your whole, so here you go. Strap, hammock, and sleeping bag right there. That's your whole sleeping situation. Oh, and a solar blanket if you wanted to. If you're worried about it getting super cold at nighttime. Other thing with hammocks tend to work as like a natural radiator with the wind. So when the wind hits the side of the hammock, it works like a sail and it drops your temperature by like 5 to 10 degrees. So the solar blanket's great for that, or an insulated sleeping mattress is like an insulated air mattress is great for that. Yeah, to think of all of this is all you need, right? Like, so you could head off into the woods and this is your whole sleeping situation. That's pretty awesome in my opinion. And it's not gonna keep you as warm as some, but look at that. Like that's like literally, it's not even close to how big that is. Like, that's half the size of just this sleeping bag. So that's no tent, that's no hammock. That's just the sleeping bag. Or you have all that stuff. So yeah, it is less warm in some ways, but if you plan ahead, because you're already gonna have clothes on you, so those are extra layers of heat. You bring a solar blanket, and you know, plan accordingly. This is a very viable solution for, I'd say, medium range temperature hiking or camping or ultralight, or you know, if you don't mind toughing it out, then it'll do it. I wouldn't bring this to anywhere super cold without planning ahead, maybe using a quilt, another quilt, or dressing in more layers like thermals if you're gonna be somewhere that's like super snowy. But yeah, I think it does a great job. I would definitely buy it again. There are other ultralight sleeping bags that are around this size, but they're gonna go for like $300 to $500. So 85 bucks versus 300. I don't know that those would necessarily keep you any warmer. Number one complaint I see with those is people go, it just didn't keep me warm enough. And you have to kind of know your limits, right? Like you gotta know what the limits of the gear is, right? So I'm not expecting this to keep me super duper warm. If you go in with that expectation, you're gonna be let down. So under pros and cons, I would say pros, super duper light, what I would consider affordable at $85 for a Goose Down sleeping bag. Not cold weather though, right? So this is what I would consider like a lighter Goose Down sleeping bag. It's kind of like a Goose Down quilt that's gonna keep your body heat around you because there's no openings, right? Build quality is great, construction's great, comes with a really good compression bag, which is cool. Sometimes they don't come with those. I like that little Velcro. Sorry, I keep flapping the mic. I like that little Velcro flap that keeps the top closed if you want to put an arm or leg out. Cons, it's not going to keep you as warm as a heavy duty sleeping bag like one of these guys, like a legit Goose Down sleeping bag, but look at the size difference. I mean, you know, if you go in buying this thinking that it's going to do what that does, you're going to be very disappointed. I could see that being a con, but that's not really, I mean, if you read your stats and figure out what you're buying, that's not a disappointment you're going to run into because you're going to have realistic expectations. Any other cons? I can't really think of any. I didn't run into anything. Nothing really bothered me. Having a little flap across the zipper would be nice. Like a lot of sleeping bags will do that, where they have like a little kind of almost like how your jacket, you know, has like a flap across the zipper so the zipper doesn't touch your skin. That'd be cool. Yeah. But yeah, I would totally buy it again. I usually keep this like in my car. I use it all the time for hiking and camping. Great purchase. I would recommend it to a friend highly. 5 out of 5 for me on this one. Oh, something I haven't been doing in my reviews is, someone brought this up to me, but so this is, I have not been paid by this company at all. This is a non-paid review, and it's just my 2 cents on something that I dig. So, and speaking of digging things, if you like this review, do me a favor, and if you feel like it, like and subscribe and throw a comment down in this area here somewhere, and it always is nice to see what you guys think, it's always nice to see what y'all think about what I'm doing. And yeah, that's about it. So I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.